Welcome back to the show, everyone. Here to give us all the details about the Advanced Heart Failure Program at Hoag, I welcome Drs. Howie Tran and Yuichi Ishida. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you two?
Good. Thanks for having us here.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I know this is a really important topic. I've known people personally who have suffered from advanced heart disease, and we kind of want to get to the surrounding benefits and everything that Hoag is offering in terms of this disease. But what I want to get to first is all about you two.
Great.
We've shared just a little bit of a conversation before our segment, and your lives have been parallel a little bit and kind of overlapping, and now here you are again and working together over at Hoag. Dr. Howie, tell us how you got led into this field.
Great question, Bree. And Yuichi and I spent some time in San Diego. He was training, I was a faculty member, and so we knew that this was a space that we could potentially really collaborate on here in Orange County when he landed about 8 months ago, and I've been here for about 6 weeks ago. But if you were to rewind the whole story all the way back to medical school and cardiology training, heart training and all that, I was fascinated with taking care of the sickest patients. I knew what really got me excited and what got me up in the morning was knowing that I was going to the ICU, knowing that somewhere in the community, I trained at Brown University, so I knew somewhere in the community of Providence, there was somebody who was going to get really sick. And either they're in the hospital already or they're in the community, but I knew that they were going to come, they're going to hit our ER, and they're going to come to our cath lab and into the ICUs, and I'd be the one taking care of them. And that got me really excited about cardiovascular disease. Dr. Kadar was here talking about all the different disciplines of cardiology. We're where the buck stops. We're the ones that really take care of the sickest patients with cardiovascular disease. And that's why I stuck with it. And I did a lot of my training out on the East Coast, came back to the West Coast in UC San Diego for my last leg of training, and that was transplant cardiology. And so that's what I've loved for the last 12 years, building that program in San Diego. And now we're bringing it to Orange County, where I'm from.
You come full circle.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. What a great story. I want to touch more on that a little bit later. But Dr. Iishi?
Yes. So for me, that I wanted to be a surgeon since when I was like 8 or 10-year-old. I think it fascinated me that the hand coordination and like sewing meticulously. And then you have to solve the problem and you have to think a lot. That all fascinated me. So I wanted to be a surgeon. I did my general surgery training first, and then I still like to do like hand sewing meticulously. So that kind of led me to a cardiac surgery journey. But originally I'm from Japan. I lived in California in my childhood. But I graduated med school in Japan and worked for 2 years, but then came to United States for surgical training. And I did my cardiac surgery training in a UCSD, UC San Diego, and that's where I met Howie and worked together. After that training, I went to Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa, and I practiced for 6 years at the high volume center, and I took care of a lot of the advanced heart failure patients, which we're gonna talk about it. And then now I'm excited that I had this great opportunity to start the program and in Orange County and serve the community.
Okay, fantastic. Well, let's talk about the program, and I'm glad that your paths crossed again. It's nice to have you both here. But let's go back to the basics now and talk about what exactly is heart failure.
Yeah, I'll take this question. It's a wonderful question. I think a lot of the viewers would think as well too, heart failure, what a terrible name, right?
Yeah.
It's really the heart hasn't stopped. It's really not working. So I tend to call it heart dysfunction, or that the heart's just not doing its thing. And just like in nature, the heart's a pump. So when anytime a pump in nature doesn't work, then pressure builds up, the volume builds up. Well, in our heart, in our body, the blood backs up to the lungs. The blood can back up to our gut, and the pump isn't doing its job. So a lot of our patients will start to have symptoms of shortness of breath because the lungs are just so full of volume and pressure. And these patients can't lay down flat. They oftentimes will have multiple pillows just so they can breathe a little bit better when they're laying in bed. Or they'll lay in their recliner and get that head of the recliner up a little bit as well too. Our patients tend to swell up a little bit. So there are a lot of reasons as to why the heart is dysfunctioned. And previously in other iterations of interviews, there are electrical reasons, there are plumbing reasons, there are carpentry reasons and structural reasons. But what's very attractive about what we do is that we're basically the contractor. We're trying to figure out generally what's really going on, who done it, and why is the heart so weak, so that we can have a better sense of how to help our patients moving forward with whatever therapy. So heart failure is a term that we all use. It's all in media and science, but it's really a dysfunction heart and figuring out why the heart's not pumping the way that it should.
Dr. Hoag, does that come from childhood, childbirth, or is that something that's progressive that happens to older age?
Yeah.
Is there any differentiation about
great question. And
who it happens to?
Yeah, it's a wonderful question because when you see patients, I have patients who are in 19, 20, they're young 20s. I have patients into their 70s and 80s. Dr. Yoshida does a fair amount of bypass surgery as well too in patients who have coronary disease. So when Dr. Mila and Dr. Kedar were here, they were talking about plumbing issues. If the stents don't work or the patients aren't candidates for stents, then they could be candidates for bypass surgery, which Dr. Yoshida, Dr. Sun perform. So that's one flavor of heart dysfunctioning, is that the plumbing isn't working so well. Well, there's a big group of patients that are born with genetic abnormalities and mutations that can cause their heart to be weak as well too. And with our advanced heart failure program, this new program at Hoag, we're going to dive really deep into taking a look at those types of etiologies or reasons as to why the heart is so weak.
Right.
So it's a huge gamut of what we're born with, what we're exposed to. A lot of coronary disease is based on our diet, based on our genes, based on smoking and some of these other unhealthy habits as well too. But at the end of it, it's we sit down, Yuichi and I talk about who done it and how do we fix it.
Right. Well, that brings me to my next question, Dr. Yuichi. When the standard treatments are no longer enough, what additional options are available?
Yeah, so if patients are struggling even with the optimized medical therapy, then the next option would be a surgery called LVAD. It's a left ventricular assist device. So LVAD is a small pump that's that attached to the heart and then suction the blood and then kind of help circulate the blood into the body. So we sew the graft into the aorta, that's the big artery coming out of the heart. And then you assist the LVAD will assist the circulation. And your patient will have a drive line coming out of either side of the abdominal wall. That'll be the kind of battery charger cable.
Oh, really?
And this LVAD it will help kind of energy, improve the energy, breathing, and the quality of life. And in many cases, it helps live them longer.
Does it seem odd to have something like that inside your body? How big is the device?
About maybe smaller than my fist.
From the images, it looks pretty large.
Yeah, it's on a,
Yeah.
But it'll be inside of the chest, so patient won't be able to feel it.
Well,
the only thing they can see is the driveline cable, which is probably like the size of my index finger.
And so they literally have to plug themselves in.
Right, yep.
They'll have battery packs that they'll wear, and oftentimes our patients will have these vests that they wear too. I have a pair of patients who I'm very fond of. They're 40-year-old guys, both guys, one in Vegas and one out here in Costa Mesa. And they have these vests. It's almost like fishing vests. So they walk around. You don't notice the batteries, and it's a situation where it's uncomfortable at first, but within the first couple of days, our patients tend to get used to it.
No, they don't sleep with these devices or the battery packs, do they?
No, they can take it off and then they can just plug in the cable. They don't have to wear this battery pack or anything.
Medical science is fascinating, isn't it?
It's great. It's great. And listening to these stories is fantastic because you start to hear stories of 40-year-old guys who can barely walk from here to outside the studio, or walking to the parking lot is a chore for a lot of these patients.
Right.
And patients shouldn't feel that way. They shouldn't feel so limited, especially when
Right.
they're so young.
Exactly. Yeah. It sounds like the quality of life really improves
Yes.
with this device.
Yeah. We have. I have a patient that I walked the 5K with, 3 miles with in Vegas, the rock and roll. So those are the types of things that our patients are able to do with this device. We joke around. He's so young. We joke around that he's Iron Man, and having this type of device just powering him.
I can see that.
Yeah.
So what are some of the symptoms that people should be watching out for?
Yeah, so the symptoms, most immediately, it's not a subtle situation. I think with coronary disease and some of the chest pain issues, that can vary. But with heart failure, it's not subtle. It is shortness of breath. It is the inability to take a full breath in because the heart isn't doing its job. It's swelling that can happen as well too. Someone's legs are just blown up and the abdomen's blown up because the heart's not pumping fluid or blood the way that it ought to. And so patients do feel it. So if patients in this community, if you start to have shortness of breath and you've got a history of heart disease, it may be heart failure. If you've got some swelling in the legs or the abdomen swelling, it may be that. If there's discomfort laying down flat just watching TV, that may be due to heart failure as well too. So those are the cardinal symptoms that I take a look at. Some of the other symptoms would be palpitation sometimes lightheadedness and dizziness.
Sure. Dr. Tran, is that a gradual thing that happens, the leg swelling or the abdomen?
Wonderful question. Usually, the great majority of times, it's the left side of the heart that is injured and for some reason not doing what it's supposed to do. Then the first symptoms oftentimes are the lungs because the lungs are right next to the heart.
Right.
And then through time, the patients are going to be able to see fluid back up and the extremities and the abdomen. And so that's through time, that's what we tend to see with a lot of our patients. At the advanced stages, our patients aren't able to eat well because they're so congested. Their appetite drops. They have early satiety, which means that meal that they used to be able to just eat fine, they'll eat half of it.
Not interested.
Yeah, because it's just very uncomfortable.
Interesting. Wow. So why should patients consider Hoag?
So Hoag, we brought together highly specialized team so that we can deliver top-tier advanced heart failure care here in Orange County without them traveling elsewhere.
Right.
Yeah, so and Yuichi and I talked a lot about this as well too. I grew up in Irvine, and I went to Woodbridge High School, and so shout out to any Warriors. But growing up in Irvine, I knew that there were, if I had a loved one that had to go to a hospital, we weren't going to go anywhere east of, let's say, the 5. We knew that. We weren't going to go at the time Irvine Medical Center. We were going to go Hoag.
Right.
And this cultural and community memory is so strong that if one were to be sick, it would be Hoag. And to me, the blessing is now I get the opportunity to come back full circle to work for an institution and a hospital that I loved growing up. And to bring that knowledge that we both have from San Diego and Iowa back to a true community hospital like Hoag is the true blessing.
Wow. Well, it's been a blessing having you two on the show today. Thank you so much for all of your knowledge and for helping the community.
Thanks for having us.
Dr. Tran Yuishi, thank you. You're watching This Day on Village TV. We'll be back after these messages.